Everyone, welcome. It is 1 p.m. We just got the closing bell for Monday, June 10th. We weren't expecting much to happen this session. We were really expecting it to be quiet today and tomorrow, and today was pretty quiet. As you can see, we're still just chopping along inside this box, although we are near the top of the box. We've been there for the last 4 days. Technically, this SPY is up 0.31%, but that's really not that much. So it's really just a drop sideways. You can see that volume is still really, really low. Looks like we're here at 26.2 million, which is not even half of the average. And the average has gone down significantly in the last few weeks. So just a few weeks ago, at the beginning of May, we were averaging about 72 million shares per day, and now we are down here at 50, 60, or sorry, today is, yeah, 60 million. So the average is dropping significantly because we spent so much time below that average in terms of volume. We're just really waiting for that catalyst for volume to come back into the market. It didn't happen today. We don't expect it to happen tomorrow. Wednesday is a pretty good day for that to happen. So at some point this week, most likely we will at least get some volume back and perhaps some direction in the markets. It just hasn't happened yet, and we don't expect it to tomorrow either. Let's take a look at what happened in our treasuries and in our VIX. So treasuries did break back down into this channel and move lower. So now it's just a matter of where we gapped before and uh and right around here. Okay, and then really we'll expect to get near the bottom of this channel. But we may not go straight there. It may be a chop or a bounce in between, or maybe even a couple of bounces in between before we get to the bottom of the channel. But we're pretty confident that we'll get pretty close to the bottom of the channel, if not all the way to the bottom of the channel, because of that collapsing in the probabilities of a rate cut that we should begin to see. So let me refresh that because those are the same numbers as this morning. I guess unchanged from this morning. So let's take a quick look at our VIX. VIX slightly above, up from Friday, not significantly, and we didn't expect it to be because the S&P didn't really move all that much. So that means, what are we going to look for? Meh, not not much. Really, we're just tomorrow. We're not going to expect too much. Let's see if we have some earnings. I think we do have some earnings this week. Yeah, not that much, but if we look at in terms of market cap, Broadcom, Oracle, Adobe, so some pretty big names in the tech space, actually. Three. So that'll be interesting to see how the market reacts to those three. And then Nvidia, let's see what happened. So this morning, I don't know what I was doing, the example of retailers not being able to move markets for beyond 1 or 2 days. For some reason, I thought I read 7 million shares, which is really low, but for Nvidia, you can see that today it traded 285 million shares. The average is at 449. And if I look at every single day in the last month, you can see that they're in hundreds of millions, hundreds of millions. So I don't know where that 7 million, where I read that off of. It obviously hundreds of millions for Nvidia because it's such a popular stock right now. But today we got 285 million versus 449 on average. We actually got less. So we didn't get that huge flood of buyers into Nvidia. We didn't get a sell-off. We didn't get a movement upwards. All we did was chop sideways. So if Nvidia is chopping sideways and the market's chopping sideways, pretty much everything is going to be chopping sideways. there you would have to look for some really strong market outperformers or really strong market or really, I guess, really weak underperformers in order to find some significant movement today. So uh, we're just going to wait for those catalysts to come later this week. Let's see how we did in terms of our sectors, and then that'll be about it. There won't be much more to talk about. So let's look over here in our sectors. Oh, that's weird. Let me just refresh that. And see how we did for today. Silver up significantly, semiconductors up significantly. So that's probably due to NVIDIA, even though we didn't get the normal amount, that's still 285 million, so quite a bit. But let's see how SMH itself traded. 5.78 million out of 7.25 normal, so still under. So that's interesting that we're below the average. So it looks like really institutions really are sitting on the sidelines. It doesn't matter if we're talking NVIDIA or we're talking the semiconductors or the general market. We really are sitting on the sidelines waiting for probably Wednesday, the numbers to come out on Wednesday. So semiconductors, utilities, interest rate sensitive. So if yields are going down, meaning that we're not going to cut rates or we're even going to raise rates, then that would be bullish for utilities. Gold is up. That's interesting. Let's see what happened to our dollar. Both gold and silver. The dollar increasing in strength, but there is money moving into silver and gold. So it looks like a little bit of a flight to safety over here. Energy is getting better bid, also flying in the face of that dollar movement upwards. So it looks like maybe we're getting a little bit of strength in XLE. Not that much, but at least we're bouncing off of that low. We're still in this downtrend though. And then let's take a quick look at gold. Gold, obviously, this horizontal support held, and we did get a bounce. And then all we need is a confirmation. But if it doesn't make it past this little local high right here, that's still going to be in. It's still not going to look that great. Home builders, real estate, all interest rate sensitive. So if we don't look at any of the commodities, then we would have SMH, E, HBRE, mostly interest rate sensitive stocks at the top. Looks like IWM small caps got bid up a tiny bit. This is only 0.36%, so I wouldn't get too excited about that. And then we've got XLY, XLI, XLV in the middle. Let's see if anything lost money today. Here we go. XLP down just a hair. These are really just sideways. The same with XLB, ITA. I would even call that sideways movement. So only financials and retail are the only ones that sort of went down. Let's take a look at those two. Or really just sideways movement. And a very little volume. Half of normal. And again, just not that much movement. And 2/3 of the normal volume. So I wouldn't get too excited. I wouldn't read anything into any of the movement today. Really, we're just waiting for something to happen on Wednesday. Some sort of number to make it, or Powell to speak and make it okay for us to trade again. Either he gives us something that will clue us into a direction, or the markets will just resume their pattern, which in this case was up before we before we ended, before we started consolidating. Okay, so that's it for today. Tomorrow is probably going to be very similar. Well, probably not too much to talk about, but we'll see. Hopefully that's not the case and there is something to talk about, but really, we're just mostly just waiting for Wednesday. Okay. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow morning.